And the Tigers have moved back into the 2-seed position in the American League, which I hope is a story that we're following through the months of August and September, is them getting that first round bye, which is really important, which means they got to start playing better because they have played, as we cited earlier, in many ways historically bad. Some of the worst baseball that any team has played over a 13-game stretch.
Getting back to the articles that came out last week from The Athletic and the Free Press.
The implication that they're not going to.
Yeah, because that was, I think, on Thursday.
It's Thursday, or I think it was Friday, actually. Well, they might have. I think it was after Thursday's game, and these guys were
prior to playing on Friday.
Yep.
So, do you think anything changes at all because what happens over the weekend? The losing continued on Friday, continued on Saturday, and then Sunday. Yeah, they exploded late in the game for 7 runs in the 8th inning, but then gave up 4 more late.
So, do I think anything can change between now and Thursday at the trade deadline? And the answer is an overwhelming yes. And the reason is, if anybody was calling, if I'm Arizona, right now I'm the Arizona Diamondbacks, and if my phone rings and somebody says they want Eugenio Suarez, my response to them is, I want Max Clark or I want Kevin McGonigal. And I'm doing that with every team. And then when Thursday rolls around and nobody's traded for Eugenio Suarez, I call back up and I say, because I'm in sell mode and I'm going to lose him and I don't need him. Right. I'd call the Tigers back up and say, all right, I'll take Hao-Yu Lee and Chris Rodriguez or something like that. Because what's the point of hanging on to them once you've shifted into sell? No. And there's a market for them. And I think it's quite possible that the rental that a Eugenio Suarez is, at where he is in his career, they're not going to get Max Clark. And they're not going to get anybody else's Max Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that there's no way the Tigers are going to give up one of their top 4 or 5 prospects. I don't think that's going to happen. And they're too close to getting to the majors, like within 2 years, that I don't think they want anything to do with that. Except maybe Rayner might be a little bit farther away because of the injury. But that being said, this is, if you're Arizona, you know what Arizona is right now? The Tigers from like 2016 or 15 or whatever it was when they had to do the purge.
Yep. So,
it's the same thing.
So here's where I would bend. I would give up Chris Rodriguez, who is the bright, shiny thing, who's just a baby. I know, but you got to give up something to get something.
I know.
And I would give up Briseño or Lorenzo and somebody else from the system that we've heard of that will hurt to get Suarez and Merrill Kelly, the starting pitcher. Because I think those prices are going to go down as we get closer to the trade deadline. And we're talking about 2 free agents, one who's 36 years old and the other's 37 years old. And, it seems to me that, that's helping your starting pitching. It's helping your everyday lineup. And it's a hefty price to pay. That isn't, but that's dipping into the top 5. But I think if you're getting 2 guys back, one that's going to go into the rotation and another that's going to be a valuable offensive piece, I think it's okay to dip into one of the catcher first basemen and make one of the top 5 available. Arizona can sell that then. We got a top 100 prospect back. We got a rising Hao-Yu Lee, and we got this kid, okay? This kid. And the Tigers did this with the Verlander trade. The kid was the pitcher who always got hurt, but he was so far away and he was so young.
Franklin Perez.
Yes. He was a single A. I think he might have been low A, but he was a dominant low A pitcher who never could stay healthy and never really blossomed, never moved up the food chain. But that's the kind of player that Rodriguez very well could be. And so, he's so far away. I think that Arizona could sell that to their fan base. I think they could say yes to it. And I think the Tigers will get 2 important pieces.
Well, here's what will be done over the next couple of days. Because if the rumors are true that the Cubs want him as well, then you start looking at what do the Cubs have to offer versus what the Tigers have to offer. And comparing how highly rated their prospects are. And, the other thing is Scott Harris worked with the Cubs organization. He kind of has a feel as well. He's going to have a better feel than most. So to see what the bidding is going to be for Suarez is going to be interesting because there's going to be a point where you're like, that's too high of a price. I'm not interested in that. I can offer you this, but I cannot go what you're asking. And then play it out and see what happens. Because if the Cubs blink, if the Cubs are like, yeah, we're not giving up one of our top 3 prospects. We can't afford to do that. And I haven't looked at the Cubs prospect list to see how many they have in the top 100 versus the Tigers. And, I think the Tigers have, 4 or 5 prospects, I think, in the top 100. If the Cubs are similar or not.
The Cubs have 5 in the top 100.
Okay.
So they are similar.
So this is going to be interesting. It's to see which prospects Arizona likes more, or can they get either the team's top 5?
Well,
or are the Cubs saying the same thing? Because the Yankees passed. Yankees went out and got Ryan McMahon.
They might still go after Suarez, but the Tigers have 3 prospects that rank higher than the Cubs' top prospect, which is Owen Casey, outfielder at 36. Tigers have 3. Now, these top 100 lists, they're just a bit of a guide.
Yeah, it's from MLB.com or for Baseball America, whatever. Their people come up with a list. Every team in baseball has their own list, and the scouts evaluate everybody else's. So it is what it is. But I think that the Tigers obviously have a lot of talent in the minors, all throughout the minors, whether it's the Dominican 2 team, which has Chris Rodriguez.
Green team versus yellow
right,
team.
Or even just going through Lakeland, Erie, West Michigan, and Toledo. There's talent throughout. And, I mean, you mentioned Hao Yu Lee. Hao Yu Lee is the closest to getting to the majors because he's at Toledo. He's also only 21.
Yeah.
21 or 22. I think he may either just turned 22 or he's still 21.
All right, let's get to Champ and Chump, brought to you by Sarah Chevrolet Sterling Heights. Who had the best weekend? Who should be called out for having a weekend that stinks? My champ of the weekend is Jack Flaherty for his performance yesterday. The last time he gave up 0 earned runs in an outing, 8 starts ago. Wow. Comes along at a good time, a much-needed time. Hopefully Flaherty and Fetter figured something out. Jack Flaherty, my champ of the weekend.
Would have been 7 if it weren't for Bichette. Good God. Mm-hmm. What a bats he had. My champ of the week is going to be Nick Kurtz. The rookie from the Athletics went 6 for 6 with 4 home runs and 8 RBIs in a single game. He also scored 6 times. Not bad for a rookie. Those are like best ever numbers in a single game by any major leaguer at any point in time. Amazing.
My chump of the weekend, this started on social media, saw it, and I'm like, oh, hell no. My chump of the weekend is Siren's Curse, the roller coaster ride at Cedar Point. For the 4th time since it opened, it malfunctioned. And this time, the riders had to climb back down the hill on the roller coaster after they got stuck on the Siren's Curse. Oh, hell no, my chump of the weekend.
Yeah, I would echo that. For me, it's just the Tigers' late inning woes, man. They were having issues giving up runs late in games when they thought that they had maybe a chance to chip away. And then, boom, here comes an explosion of 4 runs or 7 runs or whatever it was. It happened way too often over the last couple of weeks. And it's the late inning woes where the Tigers aren't able to score runs and they're giving up way too many runs.
So there it is, Champ and Chump. Get your votes in for Champ and Chump on the weekend. They've been coming in, and excited to see who the people are going to start voting for Champ and Chump on the weekend. We will read them. If you've sent a text, there's a chance we're going to read it, so stick with us here on Karsch and Anderson. Got that Twitter poll out there that's Lions-related. We'll touch on that in the 11 o'clock hour. A lot of Tiger talk to open the show as we approach the trade deadline Thursday. The Lions play a football game Thursday. Wow. We're turning the corner, my friend, headed towards football season. It is Karsch and Anderson here on 97.1 The Ticket.